this is SK. Yet again, I am back with another video. Hope everyone is doing fine, and today I had a bit of time, so I decided to look into this stock. Recently, some of y'all have asked me to look into this stock, so yep, let's look into it. So I hope everyone is doing well, so everything is going good. Market is at almost at historical high. It's just slightly few margins shy from the historical high. So there it is. So whether we will continue the bullish momentum till the end of the year, we shall wait and see, because Santa Claus rally is coming up soon. Alright, let's get to the core of today's video. So if you look at this is NVIDIA, and let me just remove all the unnecessary ones. So yep, so in my previous video we looked at AMD, and I kept it very simple, very basic, and still works. And today we can add a bit of additional context. We can probably make it slightly complicated, but take a look. Again, it all depends on an individual preference. If you want to keep it simple, we can keep it simple. You want to make it complicated, we can make it complicated. Most of the time, keeping it simple is better, but you just need to know how, when, and what matters when you want to keep it simple. Like my style, I keep it to price and volume. So NVIDIA, yes, this is a stock that many people are talking about for the last 1-2 years. It's always something that is basically driving the market. And so let's just take a look. So sometimes when we take a look about a stock over here, let's say this is 3 years, right? And you can't really see what's going on, like where is the support, resistance, and such. Of course, from supply and demand, you can say this is where most of the sell and buy took place. So this is where most of the buy and sell activity took place, and that's basically, in certain technical analysts will call this as the war zone. So this is where the buyers and sellers are fighting with each other, and eventually, like if it moves up, then the buyers won, but if it moves down, the sellers won. That's pretty much why they call this zone as a war zone. Now, just to keep it simple, that's a bit of an advanced topic, but let's just put this into a more simpler format, like just how I shared in the previous video about AMD. What you can also do here, because one of the most important aspects of us analyzing a stock from a technical perspective is to be able to identify the trend. Sometimes you can see the trend in daily, sometimes you can see the trend in weekly. So here is, sometimes you can't see in both, so you try to go further. In this case, NVIDIA, it's a monthly stock. So let's take a look. So if I were to go, let's say we pick I just pick a random number like a years, 15 years, and if you look at this, you can actually see a trend, and I can draw that easily, because you can easily see a high, low, high, low, high, and low, and sort of thing. So we can actually draw a chart like this. Almost in most of the cases, if the stock is either going up or going down, you should be able to draw a channel. And like how I conduct my workshops, in how I actually guide my students, I actually call this as a value channel. And what it is all about is a topic for another day, but this is what I call as a value channel, though this is pretty much where most of the movement of the stock is oscillating within. So in this case, you can see that so you have up, down, down a bit, up. So why it rebounded from here? There's also something what we call as the control price. Now, looking at this, keeping it simple, we can see that it's up here, down here, up here, down here, up here, and we are almost reaching another up over here. So it's a very almost high time for it to kind of reset a bit and come down to its support. And right now, if we look at this, if we zoom in further, so this basically, of course, there are many ways you can actually use this value channel. You can look at the charts, you can look at the price movement, you can actually analyze and say whether the buyers are getting more interested or the sellers are getting more interested, who is actually winning the war. There's also some other things that you can actually get from this value channel. But just for this context of the video, let's look at some of the additional things that you can use to supplement your analysis. So we can see that it is coming towards its peak. So if I were to zoom in further, the room is pretty limited. That is about probably another $30-40. You can see over here right now it's at around 193, and if it continues to move higher, I guess that leads to about 250 kind of a level over here. And to remember, we have earnings coming out for Netflix, sorry, not Netflix, but NVIDIA, and that is on 19th November, coming pretty soon, and the market is going to be really focused on these numbers. And I do think the numbers are going to be good, but please don't hold on to my words, because earnings is not something that you can predict. It's always sometimes it can be very surprising. But looking at technical analysis, looking at where we are, I do see a very limited room for NVIDIA to continue moving higher. There's the possibility of it moving lower. It's kind of higher at the moment, but don't expect it to happen just overnight. The earning might trigger it, but at the moment it's going to take some time here before it comes down. And as any other stock, this is why my belief with NVIDIA. Now, because they continuously able to outperform what the analysts are expecting, it's just a matter of time. One disappointing earnings is going to bring the NVIDIA crashing, and when it comes crashing, it doesn't mean it's not doing good anymore. It's just that expectation. Sometimes market moves based on expectation. So when that is missed, you can expect the NVIDIA to come down all the way to probably $100 or something. Then it will be actually a good entry price for NVIDIA. Now, it's also at the peak over here. One of the things that we also need to pay attention to is where this is where you add certain things to complement your analysis. Or you want to keep it simple, you are fine. So it's going to be at the peak, there's room for it to go at least about 240, 250, and done. Your analysis is done. But if you want to make it slightly more comprehensive, you can also look at some of the indicators over here. Like this is the volume. You can see the volume is not that obvious from the volume, but you see there's not much of a spike in the volumes. It's pretty flat. The flatness shows that the lack of interest in buying and selling NVIDIA. And also MACD, you can see over here, you can see the histogram. You can see it's going downwards. You see that is also a clear sign that the momentum is decreasing for NVIDIA. So one of the important part of using indicators in technical analysis is you got to understand what each of these indicators actually mean. It's not just about it's red, it's negative, it's going down, green is going up. That's not how you kind of use the indicators. So in this case, obviously, although the price is going higher, you can see the MACD histogram is going down. This clearly shows the momentum is diminishing, and it's usually, please remember this word when I say usually, it's followed up with a retracement. All right, so that's basically how you can also use these indicators. RSI is definitely at more of what I say is more at an overbought region. So usually when you see over 70, it's at the overbought, and we are currently at that level. Now so that is an indicator, and also you can look at the price. So this is a price movement, where this price movement clearly shows there is a strong bearish sign in the market. But do not just trade based on a single bearish candlestick patterns. That's not how it goes. There's something else that's about confirmations. There is about how you evaluate the strength of this price action in order to know whether it is already good for it to come down or continue to go higher. In this sense, I do see some room for it to go slightly higher, but it all depends on the earnings. But if you are not a gung-ho trader, you are more of a mid to safe investor, this is not a stock for you because it's very far from the support. And one thing I can also share with you all is, if you want to know like where is the immediate support and you're not that good in identifying supports and sort of things, let me share with you a particular trick. You can go to here, edit studies, and you can use something called volume profile. Add that, apply, and you can see see all those spikes over here. Spikes, this is a volume, right? This is a horizontal, this is different, this is different. So this is a horizontal. At this price level, what was the at which price level where most of the volume took place? So over here you can see that this two region is where the support is for NVIDIA at the moment. Very simple way of looking at it, where the spike is. So here the spike is around 120, and another spike over here is 90. So 120, 190 is the price level that you want to see when the price retraces. So this should be your buy region. And if you realize, it somehow confluences together with the line that I drew earlier, this channel, see it somewhere there, it lands somewhere there. So if you're going to be a more long-term investor or mid-term investor, you're a safe investor, this is the price target you're going to be looking at for NVIDIA. All right, so remember, NVIDIA is a tech stock. Tech stocks are highly volatile, and you should always be extra cautious when it comes to tech stocks. If you're not the person who can take huge upswings or downswings, then NVIDIA is not for you. But if you are able to control your emotions, then NVIDIA is a stock that you can probably take a look at. Remember, emotion control is extremely important in the stock market. If you do not have a strong emotion control, then it's best to keep with safe stocks like Johnson & Johnson, PG, etc. But not this kind of tech stocks, because the tech stocks volatility is definitely on a different level. All right, that's about it. See y'all. Thank you very much. SK signing off. Bye bye.